The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed during this or any broadcast belong solely to our guests or our hosts. These broadcasts do not represent or reflect the views of their employers, sponsors, or affiliated organizations.
Welcome to the Flipboard EDU podcast with your host, William Jeffrey, where we collaborate, communicate, and educate with the greatest educators in the world on Flipboard. Let's start the show.
Welcome back, Flipboard fam. This is your favorite coach, Coach Jeffrey. And when I was first introduced to computer programming in the 7th grade, I was learning to code MS-DOS. I programmed a snake skirming across the screen, and I knew I was destined for greatness. Even though I stole that code from a classmate that was sitting right next to me, it was a great feeling. Today's youth, however, are programming languages such as Scratch, Python, and Swift, to name a few. These whiz kids are building amazing apps and programs in virtual and augmented reality. Shaina Glass takes pride in building the infrastructure to support and grow our future app creators. Shaina is a passionate and encouraging educator that's incorporating computer science in K-12 education, as well as the Computer Science Teachers Association. Shaina is involved in many initiatives such as Code.org that is designed to bring computer programming to underserved populations. In today's episode, we'll be learning why computer science is necessary for all students and how any teacher can start teaching this subject in class. We also discuss the difference between STEM and STEAM and how art can be infused into computer science. So like we always do about this time, let's collaborate, communicate, and educate with the best educators in the world right here on Flipboard EDU Podcast. Welcome back, Flipboard fam. This is your favorite coach, Coach Jeffrey, and I have another amazing guest here tonight. I have Miss Shaina Glass. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited for being here. I'm excited to join you.
Shaina, tell our listening audience a little bit about yourself.
I'm an educator with 16 years of experience that finished my master's degree in instructional technology, got plucked from the classroom and into educational technology in Aldine ISD. From there, I became, immersed in computer science and STEM. I integrated it in my classroom for a number of years prior to being plucked, but started asking questions and dig deeper and went from the coordinator of computer science and STEM to the program director for technology applications in STEM at Aldine. And very recently, right before I'm talking with you, this past year, I was a fellow, a CSTA Equity Fellow, which is a year-long program for educators who are trying to disrupt the status quo in computer science education. And as I'm wrapping that up, I just accepted a position as the professional learning manager for a CSTA. For those of you who may not know, that is the Computer Science Teachers Association, which is it's the equivalent of ISTE, but for computer science.
Excellent. And I love that. And so I probably jumped the gun on my question. Let me go back here. That's great. I'm having a great day. I skipped question 2. And I wanted to talk to you about that because as I was doing some research on you, because I think, first of all, before we go any further, I think that we went to the same school district.
Yeah, I think so. I think we went to Waller ISD. Oh Lord. Yes, I think we are both graduates of Waller High School. I probably could have started with that. When you said, tell us a little about yourself, I was like, well, does he want me to go back? Do I go way back? Especially, I know you are an alum of Prairie View A&M University. My mom actually taught at Prairie View A&M, which is why I was attending Waller ISD, because we lived out where she worked.
Excellent. And shout out to the Prairie View A&M Panthers. I want to talk to you about the computer science initiative as I was doing my research on you and looking at how computer science, how and why there's a stance on trying to diversify computer science. And the question that I have up in front of us is that computer science and racism or anti-racism is becoming more of a discussion lately. And my question to you is, why do you think that is?
So I'm going to start off by, a lot of people believe that this is something new. As in the world today, this is conversations that's being had about being an anti-racist. There's very reputable books out discussing being an anti-racist, getting people who are not of color to recognize those of color, to recognize and accept. It's not, you don't dissolve that you are a person of color. You own it, walk in it. I think of late in computer science, and I'll say of late as maybe last 5 years, the realization that there's not enough students of color actually taking the courses to field to field here in the United States was becoming an issue. There's not enough women, girls actually interested or pursuing it. That's what was stated, that they're not. It's not that they're not necessarily interested. They don't see enough people that look like them. And you see all shades and colors, genders, whatever in education. But in the actual field, it's a trickle-down effect, and it's highly political. Industry is not representational. Corporate is not representational at all. And that trickles all the way down, even to the teachers who teach our students. So we're trying to get them into more urban educational settings, more Title I districts. And it's hard to find teachers that look like the students they serve, because most of them didn't get the degree in it. So now you have to diversify that, which then forces all of us to address the issues of our own biases. Because if you don't look like the kids, you have to address the issue that, okay, even though I don't look like them, they can do exactly what I'm doing. Everybody can do, you can learn the same way I'm learning. That's how I see it. That's where it's going. That's the continuous conversation. There's critical conversations that have to be had, but that makes people very uncomfortable.
There was a director of STEM job that came open, and I applied for it. And during the interview process, one of the questions was asked about STEM versus STEAM. And I said, because I know you said earlier, STEM has something slightly to do with computer science.
Absolutely.
Okay. As I was giving my definition, I said that I think that we need to incorporate the arts into the STEM program because it's beneficial for students of color. And I don't think the committee that was interviewed liked my answer. How do you feel about that
STEM
scenario?
Versus STEAM.
Yeah.
So I get it quite a bit. I did work directly with STEM, and computer science does fall directly inadvertently in line with STEM. I don't believe you need to add an A to STEM. I'm not an advocate for the A, adding the A in STEM, because if you understand the science, the technology, engineering as a whole, and mathematics, creativity is built into every aspect of STEM. So for many, I feel like people who want you to advocate for arts. So they're usually people who are specifically in art, who want to make sure it's incorporated. But you don't have to say the A if you truly understand the definition of STEM. So, like, for instance, just in computer science, going in that line, there's many of the classes right now, students really love learning Python, learning how to program. Reason is because most of it starts with animation. Everything they do is designing an animation. It's about their creativity. It's about the color. It's about the pixels. It's about bringing things together, showing how it evolves, how it shifts constantly. But it's building an animation. Do we need to say that's STEAM? You know what I mean? Do you have to say that students who program in Python are learning in STEAM? I was talking with another director in theater arts, and he was like, I want us to program in music. And I was like, when people in the music industry, when they are laying tracks and overlapping music, that's actually programming. Do we have to say that that's STEAM? Do we have to say we're incorporating that in STEAM as in the field? That's STEM. That's a STEM profession. So I'm not saying when I say I'm not an advocate for the A, I'm most definitely an advocate for art. My bachelor's degree is in, so I am heavily visual, and I'm a visual learner, but I do that inherently. So I don't need you to add an extra letter, just like some people want to add R. What is that for reading, robotics? Yeah. But you're going to keep going until you done made a whole sentence, when all of it falls to 4. If I can show you how this actually works, And I'm upset that the people in the interview didn't get that, but it's a trend and it's what's popular. So those in the room were advocating for art when they never have seen STEM without art.
I cannot picture STEM without an artistic value.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. And I can't do it. And it wasn't meant to be. It's never meant to be. And so I know that you now work for the Computer Science Association. And I would like for you, this is almost a rhetorical question, but I would like for you to speak to their support of educating all students.
Let me go and tell you my story on CSTA, and hopefully this answers your question. So when I took my role in Aldi, when I became the person representing K through 12 computer science, I didn't know who to turn to. I was asking questions in district and they were looking at me like a deer caught in headlights. They still do, even to this day, because they didn't know what that was. And where do you get support for that? And who else is supporting it? Where do you go? It's just like when I was in the classroom and I was wanting to expand in technology and I took the job in instructional technology and my boss at the time said, yeah, ISTE. And I was like, oh, okay, so what's that? I didn't know. And I looked into it. It was very expensive, but I didn't know anything other. And that was the only place I knew to go. I didn't even know of TCEA. So I spent the money to learn with those in the same field. The same came when I was asking questions about computer science. Like I got the gist of it. I can do the research, but where is the support system? And then somebody mentioned CSTA. We had a CSTA. We have a CSTA in Houston. I went to the meeting. It was like a half dozen people. I was like, this is odd. How can I get additional support? Can you tell me what you guys are doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? But they were mostly teachers. They weren't in leadership positions supporting computer science to support teachers. I did a little digging. CSTA has lots of funding structures and support, financial support, as they help directly to the industry. So I reached out and they provided me with a scholarship. Lots of people didn't even know about CSTA. So they had lots of money to give. I went to the conference. I went straight to the conference. That was weird and different because you normally build a network. And I'm not new to the game of professional learning as building my PLN in the ed tech field. It's all about building community and knowing who to turn to. Like you reached out to me in a DM. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? It's just that easy. Right, exactly. It's just that easy. But in computer science, there's still things that aren't quite open, including people, especially people that look like us, look like me. This led me, when I went, I seen about the Equity Fellow my first year. And I was like, okay, I must be a part of this. I need to know. I don't even care what it is. If they're trying to make it more equitable so that it doesn't look like this, I need to be a part of that. Meaning there was not that many. I make this saying, and hopefully it's not too overt. You walk in a room and you look for the pepper and the salt.
I think that was very clear. Are we talking about black pepper or white pepper? Just to be clear.
Oh, I don't think it's white pepper. I don't think you would have found it. Yeah, I could have even used an example of red pepper. You stand out like a sore thumb because it wasn't enough. You go in a room and you automatically start to see. It's inherited. It's like going to a family reunion. You're looking for your mom or your cousin. Even in a room, all right, I got to find. It wasn't enough. So the Equity Fellowship, it enticed me. I applied the first year. I didn't get in for the first cohort. I was like, the second cohort, look, I need you to understand my hearts. I need you to know why I'm doing this. And more so, what are you doing to make change? I needed to see it right at the root, because when you're in this fellowship, directly to the root of CSTA and how it is educating and supporting all students, coming from the lens of all teachers. So they wanted to find those teachers and educators in the field like me. And from day one, you hit home. It's like a root ball. You get right to of why people are doing what they do to change this. Computer science is just like STEM. It is that little nugget right now. Ooh, we need that. But the people who were in this weren't in this for that nugget. I'm just trying to do this. No, we were in it because you're tired of not seeing people provide these opportunities for all students. You're tired of leadership not understanding. CSTA is a It is an organization that's built off of chapters. So it's literally satellite locations of CSTA in every state, in every major city, even in rural settings. Some rural settings, there's one for the whole state, right? Those leaders are the backbone of the organization because they go in and they target all of the local areas, local school districts, small private schools, charter schools. Those are the ones who provide them the resources and support and knowledge on how to teach students in computer science. And that's how you reach out.
You know what? I really appreciate that you broke it down in that fashion, how you started with yourself. I know that you recently changed roles and you told us about that and you accepted this higher calling to supporting other educators. Why did you make that?
So this must be God. Look at Coach Jeff. Look at God. Okay. Real talk. Okay. This fellowship.
Hey, before we go real talk, I don't want you to get yourself in trouble.
There's no trouble because look, okay. I love my job. That job was created specifically for me to continue to do what was needed for the students. I pushed very hard. I set this up. I laid this out. I almost killed myself trying to just because I knew what it needed. It actually needs more. It needs more people. It can't be done by a single person. But that was a lot. And I didn't want to leave. When I interviewed for CSTA, and they know it, I'm saying it publicly, they asked me, as most interviews do, what is a question that we didn't ask? So I asked. I said, you didn't ask me, why was I leaving? And they was like, yeah. I said, I'm not. And they were like, what? So why are you interviewing? I was like, I am interviewing because, why am I applying for this position? Because I am a bowl of cereal. And I got this bowl, and Aldine is one Cheerio. And I use this analogy because I eat cereal and usually at work every morning. And I was like, Aldine is this one Cheerio every day. I know what I need to do. I know the levels that must be done, but I take this Cheerio every day. But what about the rest of the bowl? My position at Aldine was to serve all of those students and those teachers. And I could see it. I had a 3-year goal, and I was setting the next 3 years in motion. I was ready. However, I can reach so many more. Even this morning, one of the principals was like, you laid out our entire plan for our school. What do we do? Can we meet next week? I no longer work for that district, but I will. Because even though I'm not there, I can still serve and support all of the teachers and students. It's not just about those, it's about as many as I can reach. Does that make sense? So the switch was very difficult. Even right now, a lot of people don't even know I'm gone until my email, but I'm so connected. They didn't know because they had my cell. They didn't know because they sent me a DM. They didn't know because we're on chat. They didn't know because I'm still supporting them. It shouldn't be that I can't support you. It's just I'm not limiting the amount of support I can provide.
Yes, 100%. And I like that answer. And I like to piggyback this when people say good stuff like this. I just always say that inside of a seed is a forest. And everything that seed needs, once it's put in the right environment, that seed will grow, that tree will produce fruit. Fruit will fall from that tree, that those fruits will have other seeds. And inside of that is a forest. And you just have to be in the right environment at the right time. And the issue is you will never grow your forest unless you put yourself in the right environment. And so I'm very proud of you. And I'm glad to see that you are continuing to put yourself in the right environment so that you can produce your fruit.
I hope I laid that seed where I was so that can continue because I was the seed. I give a lot of kudos and thanks to my leadership because she seen it in me and she supported me nourishing this little seed, this little mustard seed. But the seed is in the ground and it is flourishing. Now it was time for me to take the fruit and expand my garden. And I love your analogy. I truthfully love your analogy. Makes it so much so that I want to go out in my backyard and my garden. I have a garden, but it needs to be pruned. It needs some work after all this rain we didn't have. But I completely get it. And I thank you for this opportunity to speak to you because it's been I haven't started yet. I start in a couple weeks. So I'm getting my life together. So I'm in this little corner over here but this room is changing and evolving to be able to know my garden of whatever is going to come from this gene. And I know what I'll be working on. I know what direction I'll be heading, things that I'll start, but I'm so excited.
Yeah. And when I picture you, just from knowing the work that you did in Aldine and all those good people, you guys had a great conference that y'all would put on out there. And there was a lot of great changes and y'all did a lot of amazing things. I know that you were in the center of that. And so that's the thing about educators. Our job is to be educators and their bosses. Our job is to be farmers. And we're supposed to recognize talent, or if you want to call it a seed, and we're supposed to put it in the right environment. And we're supposed to nurture. And if we're doing our job like your boss did, we'll be able to go to the next level. What's wrong with that? There is nothing wrong.
Yes, you are correct in your statement. I'm reading your question on the screen because, so when you've done it, just like I have, when you go through a process of exploring new opportunities, you have to reflect. Because you're forced to, because you got to get your resume. And that forces you to pull what you've done. And I always just say it in passing, the stuff that I do. I'm like, yeah, I did this. Yeah, I'm doing this and this. And then the list, like I can't tell you in 5 minutes. Like it was that much. It was ridiculous, the amount of work. But it forces you to look back. And this year has been very pivotal in my career. I look back to when I started teaching. So the students that I started teaching, and I taught only third and fourth. Okay? The students that I taught, I have one more year. My last year in the classroom, these kids will be graduating from high school this school. But the ones this year was the first year I cataloged every moment of their year. So I had their very first day of school photos. I had, I had just finished my master's. So I was integrating everything. My classroom was no longer limited by brick and mortar, and that intentionally, I never believed in staying within the compounds of 4 walls. So we always were outside. But this year, this school year with those students, I was able to do a lot of it digitally. So the parents of those kids, they've been moved all over the city. They reached out to me to come to the graduation parties. And I came with the videos and the images showing them when I taught them. The first day when I told them that I would never leave them, like that I would always be with them, that I would always support them. And they were astonished. And I was in tears because so many of them came and they all remembered exactly what we did. They remembered exactly where they were in my room. They remember the opportunities that tied them to help them decide what they want to do when they go to college. I tell a new educator today, you're in 2021. This is your first year. You're walking in the classroom. I do work with Thurgood Marshall College Fund. Don't know if you've heard it.
Yes, I do. I do.
Yes, it's Raindrops. It's such an amazing group. But I started doing some work with them where I provide support to first year teachers and even those who are not in their first year yet. And one young lady, I had mentioned to them a few things that I feel like every first year teacher should do. Make sure you're on LinkedIn. Make sure you connected. Make sure you have a way to connect with other educators. That changed my life. Not saying LinkedIn, but the connections with other educators. And I know they're going to be like, oh, my neighbor teacher. No, I'm not talking about the people in that building. I'm talking about you as an educator, because there's educators all over the country, all over the globe. Find those who are like you to empower and uplift you, because you're going to need that, especially if you have melanin, a lot of melanin in your skin. You're going to need that, especially in your field, not just as an education, but maybe you are a STEM teacher. That's a limited number of educators who have that diverse experience. Find those like you. Start there. 2, catalog, capture those images. So I told them, I asked them, said, how are you on social media? They college students. So they was like, they're not getting my Instagram. And I was like, no, they don't need that Instagram. They need your professional Instagram. They need your professional Twitter. I don't care what you do on the other side, but you might want to watch that. We talk about being a digital citizen, because depending on the grades you teach, it don't even matter. That's it, because some of those babies you teach kindergarten, those parents are about the same age as you. So they're going to find you the same way you find people. So just be cautious. But I told them, I said, One of them she stayed after. She was like, I haven't been on social media. I said, start with your feet. She was like, what? I said, capture your feet. Stand up and capture where you stand. Let that be your first image on Instagram. I said, I did it at an ed camp years ago, and it was like, put your feet together, look down, and make a stance of yourself, that I'm right here. I'm here. I'm starting this, right? To remember. I said, and it doesn't have to be that you have to capture kids, because she was still in student teaching. I said, that you can capture where your journey. Capture the school. Capture those chairs, anticipation of the students. Capture the things. I said, and you go over students' shoulders, not their face, but the action. Because me looking back, it's my why. It's the reason why I keep going. When I see those, one little girl, she graduated. I watched the graduation, boo-hooing with her mama. It's like I was her mama. She said, Miss Glass, I still need your help. She's like, I'm going into a STEM field, but I don't know which courses to take. I don't know what direction to go. Can you help me? I said, absolutely. And then she was waiting on me to say this. I said, if I don't know how, I'll find out. She was like, you used to always say that. I said, and it's true. It's even more true today. You're a young woman trying to go into a STEM field. We have to stick together. I understand more now than I did when I taught you the value and the importance of that. So you lean on those who've been in the journey, because that's how we're going to propel them to stay in it and actually be completers in STEM fields, actually become that psychologist and that microbiologist and that nurse, to become that programmer. It's not easy, and it's nothing like it was in high school. Yeah. Whatever they doing in high school, it's nothing like college. So that's what I would definitely suggest to educators in their journey. If you haven't started, if you're not a first year teacher, but you haven't started what I said, and there's so many who haven't, start to that. Look into it. Look me up.
Yes, look her up. I love the fact that capture where you are, because currently now, I didn't start off as an administrator. And when times get rough, I need to build my portfolio as why I feel school leadership is important. So when my days get rough, I need to remember where I stand, because I would never stand in that place if it wasn't for all of the steps I took in order for me to get there. So I appreciate you sharing that nugget with me, because that's something that I am definitely going to do. As a matter of fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of where I stand in my office, put that on my wall, as so that I come in, it motivates my own self, that I would never be standing right here if it wasn't for my steps being ordered through the door. Amen.
And you have no idea. I look back, I have it on my Instagram. The day I took it, I had a little nasty, a little dirty, because I cleaned my rubs in my classroom, little rough shoes on, little tennis shoes. You know how you teachers got to get your stuff together. Yeah. I always look back at that pic like I'm here right now. Think about where I've gone from where I was at that moment. Yeah. It's probably one of the pivotal images in my career, looking back. And I thank Ed Camp, the Ed Camp organization, for that unstructured professional development, because it helped me grow into who I am, understanding that you learn everywhere you are and you learn with whoever you're with. It doesn't have to be an organized, structured program PD. Those organic moments are probably some of the most pivotal moments in your professional.
Man, I love Ed Camp, and that's something that I'm going to try to revive where I'm at. I think that was pivotal in my career as well. I met some amazing people like you, like Sarah Thomas.
Yes. Nicole.
Yes. I only copied off what they did. I was like, man, they could do that. And Shelly Sanchez Terrell and other amazing people, Carl Hooker. So the only reason why I'm able to meet any of these people was exactly what you said. And I appreciate you bringing that out. So we're coming down to the ending part of our show. Where can our listeners find you?
So you can definitely find me on LinkedIn. My name is the same across the board. So if you look, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram. I'm revising my Instagram now. I just went Instagram business. So we're going to see how that goes. Because I'm working on my brand, tightening up my brand. It's pretty tight. Like I have a pretty solid stance on social media. Yeah. Definitely on Twitter. My site will be up shortly. It is, but it's being revised, and that's all of it still the same. Everything is Shaina V Glass. If you look me up anywhere, you'll find that. And the V is for Victoria. So if you are on Facebook, I'm on there too by the same name. Yeah, so any and everywhere. I am also, if you're in the Houston area and you are interested, you do not have to be a computer science teacher to be a part, but I'm currently the president of CSTA Greater Houston. So you can definitely find me there. So if you go to csteachers.org, you'll find me on there. You'll see me soon doing a lot more work in that arena, as that's my new profession, which is crazy. I'm also a regional partner manager for code.org under the University of Texas at Austin. So you can also find me with We Teach CS, which is the state of Texas computer science hub. They do everything computer science. Lots of work that still must be done. I'm excited to continue to get a chance to do that. And anybody who wants to find out more, just do a Google search. I promise I'll pop up.
Flipboard is a great way to collect articles for classes, show off your school and school spirit, and share expertise with peers.
It's time for Flip Tips, and today's Flip Tip is brought to you by my homegirl, Terry Porter, and her blog on Medium.com entitled Your Flipboard Magazine Cover is a Front Door. The cover of your Flipboard magazine is a way into your content. So just like someone selling a home wants a pretty front door to encourage people to come inside of their house and look around, you want a compelling Flipboard magazine cover that will have people flipping your content. The cover is a focal point of your magazine, and just like the first 5 minutes of a good lesson, an engaging Flipboard magazine cover is your hook. You can read more about Terry's article on her blog on Medium.com and flip also into our Flipboard EDU podcast magazine. Thanks, Terry. Flipboard fam, thanks for sticking with me on this episode. I want to thank my good friend Shaina Glass for talking with us about her passion for teaching and supporting computer science. You can read more about this episode and other educators on the Educators blog on Flipboard.com. I want to give another huge shout out to Aileen Laylor and Crystal Vanderboom for the editorials on the Flip EDU Educators blog. Hey, remember to subscribe to our Flipboard EDU magazine on Flipboard.com. Also, please subscribe and share our podcast with an educator or colleague. Our podcast is available globally, everywhere you listen to podcasts for free. So until next time, family,